Hello, welcome to a November TBR. How has it happened that I am creating a November TBR? What happened to October? Where did it go? I don't quite know. I don't understand how the year has just flown off into the distance and I'm now making a November TBR. It'll be 2025 before we know it, and I don't know if I'm okay with that. But we're here, and I need a November TBR. So that's what we're going to do today. Every month on my Patreon, we have a monthly specific challenge, and our challenge for November is very much goal focused on some of those reading goals that we will have set ourselves at the beginning of the year that we maybe haven't paid too much attention to, maybe didn't prioritize as much as we should have throughout the year. And rather than try and cram them all into December, we are going to try and approach some of those in November. So I've tried to create my TBR for November with that in mind, but without further rambling, let's just get into what I will be maybe, possibly, hopefully, fingers crossed, reading in November. Firstly, the first thing that I would like to mention is The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is book 2 in the Bloodsworn saga, which is my current Patreon buddy read. At the point of filming this, I actually have not started The Shadow of the Gods, but it will be the next thing that I do. Quite literally after filming this, I will be starting The Shadow of the Gods. That is my next #1 priority. So I don't know how I feel about this series yet. I don't know what book 2 is about yet. I don't know if I'm excited for this. I don't know if I've had a good time with book 1. I don't know any of that at the point of filming this, because I haven't started yet. So I can't really tell you anything about this, but I can tell you that I'm currently excited to pick up book 1 and am committed to buddy reading this series with my patrons, so that will be a definite read for November, because the commitment has been made. But I can't really tell you any more than that, unfortunately. But moving on. Thinking about the keeping my goals at the forefront of my mind part of this TBR, the next thing that I really should read in November is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This was on a priority TBR last year, and it's made it onto a couple of TBRs this year, and I keep putting it off. I did actually start reading this, but I was reading it at the same time as attempting to read Shogun, and doing the two together just was never going to work. So I need to start this over, start this fresh, and actually make my way through this, because this cannot be carried on to another year's priority TBR. This absolutely should be my #1 priority for November. If I'm thinking about goals, this has been one for 2 years, so I really need to do it. In terms of what I know about this, all I really know is buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. The Emperor is dying. The Emperor's on his deathbed. People are exhausted by conscriptive engineering projects. Councillors conspire for their own gain. The gods themselves are restless. There is a wily bandit, and the vengeance-sworn son of a deposed duke. They cross paths as they each lead their own rebellion against the Emperor's brutal regime, and together they will journey to the heart of the Empire, witnessing the clash of armies, fleets of silk-draped airships, magical books, and shape-shifting gods. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. I have such incredible high hopes for this, and I think that's possibly the reason that I keep putting this off, is that I want to love this with absolutely every fibre of my being, so I'm so intimidated by it that I just keep putting it off. November is the month. I will put it off no longer. I will finally read The Grace of Kings. And that does actually then leave only one book on my top 10 priority list for the year, and I did say that one of my goals for this year needed to be getting through that top 10 priority list, so that is the one goal that I would love to focus on in November. And that last book is 7 Deaths of an Empire by G.R. Matthews. I have heard that this reads quite quickly. I have heard that this one is pretty pacey, but again, it's just very buzzwordy for me. The Emperor is dead. Long live the Empire. There's an apprentice magician and he's assigned to the Emperor's honor guard escorting his body on the long road back to the capital. Whoever is control of the Emperor's body controls the succession. 7 lives and 7 deaths to seal the fate of an empire. Very buzzwordy, very me. Again, I have high hopes for this. I think I'm going to really like this, so I need to prioritise getting to it in November and finally completing that top 10 TBR list. Finally. Please. From there on, it's a little bit more mood-ready for me. I don't have any other, like, incredible goals that I definitely want to prioritise getting to, so it's just going to be working on my own TBR, getting through some books, those general goals. Maybe try and not buy any books. That would be a good goal to try and focus on. Anyway, the next one that I would love to get to, because it's been on my mind pretty much all of October and I haven't got to it, is A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. This is the only T. Kingfisher book that I own that I haven't read at this point, and I have loved pretty much everything else from her, so I would like to get to this one. I have been warned about the mother-daughter relationship in this one because domestic violence is pretty much my only trigger, and this is a mother-daughter relationship that is not great. Cordelia knows her mother is unusual. Their house doesn't have any doors between rooms. There are no secrets in this house. Cordelia isn't allowed to have a single friend. The only time she feels truly free is on her daily rides with her mother's beautiful white horse. More than a few quirks set her mother apart. Other parents can't force their daughters to be silent and motionless, obedient for hours or days on end. Other mothers aren't sorcerers. After a suspicious death, Cordelia's mother insists they leave in the middle of the night, leaving behind all Cordelia has ever known. They arrive at a remote country manor of a wealthy older man and his unwed sister. Cordelia's mother intends to lure the squire into marriage. Cordelia knows this can only be bad news for the bumbling gentleman and his kind, intelligent sister. Hester sees the way Cordelia shrinks away from her mother, how the young girl sits eerily still at dinner every night. She knows that to save her brother from bewitchment and to rescue the terrified Cordelia, she will have to face down a wicked witch of the worst kind. It just sounds so, like, eerie to me and everything that I want from a T. Kingfisher novel, so I really anticipate I'm going to love this. And I hope that I will get to it in November, because I've wanted to get to it all of October, and it hasn't happened, so please. And similarly, still following on that, like, eerie, creepy vibe, another one that I would like to get to is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This was recommended to me by a bookseller in Waterstones, and I have also had this recommended to me personally by a number of people, as I've been finding my taste in gothic horror and where the atmosphere is the creepy element and, like, the house is a little bit creepy and unsettling. I have been recommended this a few times. I have had a hit or miss relationship with Alex E. Harrow. I have loved something from Alex. I have not loved something from Alex, so I am excited to see how this one lands with me, whether it will be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But this one is about Opal, who gets a job at Starling House. Her new workplace is uncanny and full of secrets. Just like Arthur, it's brooding air. It also feels strangely dangerous, like something Opal has never had, a home. As sinister forces converge, Opal realises she might finally have found a reason to stick around, and now she'll have to fight for it. There are sinister forces in Starling House, and I am excited to find out what they are. It is a haunted mansion with a brooding air. It sounds like it's going to have all those eerie elements that I love, and also this cover is gorgeous. I do need to get the sticker off before someone says something, because I know I upset people by leaving stickers on. It's off. It's gone. No more stickers on this book. I'm very excited to get to this one. And then again, on a mood-ready sort of wave, ones that I've been thinking about reading in October and the opportunity just has not presented itself, we have got The Restaurant of Lost Recipes by Hisashi Kashiwai. This is the sequel to the Kamigawa Food Detectives, which I absolutely loved and have not got to yet. I purchased this one relatively recently. It only came out pretty recently. but I'm just so excited to get to this one. I loved the Kamigawa Food Detectives. It is Japanese translated fiction about a father-daughter duo who run a food detective agency where you can go to them with any recipe from your past, any meal from your past, and they can recreate it for you. And it's that typical tale of helping someone unlock a memory or open up the next path in their life, and how the dishes that the food detective agency make for them help them come to those realizations and move on with their life or reach acceptance or so on or so forth. Love the first one. Cannot wait to read the sequel. And then in a very similar vein, Tales from the Cafe, which is the sequel to Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I read in September. And it made me cry, it made me bawl, I absolutely loved it, and again, need to get to its sequel. Need to get to the rest of that series, in all honesty. I just loved the first one so much, and I need to continue, so I have to put this one on the TBR. In terms of a TBR, that's all I have as a stack. Obviously there are some that I want to prioritise more than others. Mainly it's those first three. We've got The Hunger of the Gods, The Grace of Kings, and Seven Deaths of an Empire. They are the three that I desperately need to prioritise in November. Otherwise, I maybe will mood read. I will maybe think about some of the other goals that I haven't thought about right in this moment, because right now my number one priority is just that top 10 priority TBR list. So maybe I will reconsider some of the other goals that I have and work around those in November. Or I will just mood read. But they're the ones that I'm in the mood for currently. So we shall see how November goes. In terms of like other goals, like hitting my Goodreads goal, check. My 3-to-1 token ratio goal. For every 3 books I read, I get 1 token to allow me to buy a book. I am still in a positive for tokens, so that has worked very well. Like, I'm in a positive for tokens, but I haven't felt massively restricted, so I might shift that for next year, we'll see. But this isn't a goal review, I'm just now thinking about my goals because one of my priorities for the month is to get through my goals. How are you doing with your reading goals? Now that we're heading into the last couple of months of the year, so that you're not cramming them all into December, how are you doing with your reading goals? Are there any that you should be prioritising in November as well? Let me know down below. You hold me accountable, I'll hold you accountable, we'll work on this together. That is it for this video. Thank you very much for hanging out with me for a little bit whilst I ramble about books. I hope your November reading goes well, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye!